Center for the Ethiopian Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. In our most recent mathematics lesson, we started our study of geometry and measurement by learning about regular polygons. We learned how to define them. We learned their properties. We learned how to calculate the measures of each interior and exterior angle. And we learned how to determine lines of symmetry. In this lesson, we are going to start our study of another aspect of geometry and measurement: congruency and similarity. Let us start this lesson by defining those two words. In the field of geometry and measurement, two figures are congruent if they have the same shape and same size. Similar figures have the same shape, but may or may not have a different size. Put another way, congruence means that two figures are exactly the same, while similarity means that two figures may or may not be the same size. Let us apply those definitions to some actual shapes. How about we start with the congruency of triangles? Triangles that have the same size and shape are called congruent triangles. No surprise there. To be more precise, the 6 parts of the triangle's 3 sides and 3 angles are correspondingly congruent. Look closely at the 2 triangles on your screen. Even though they are positioned differently, they share the same shape and the same size. That is because the parts of the 2 triangles match exactly. The angles match. Angle A is congruent to angle D. Angle B is congruent to angle E. Angle C is congruent to angle F. And the sides match too. Side AB is congruent to side DE. Side BC is congruent to side EF. Side AC is congruent to side DF. Parts of congruent triangles that match are called corresponding parts. Two triangles are congruent when all of the corresponding parts are congruent. But we do not need to know the exact details of all those 6 corresponding parts to conclude that 2 triangles are congruent. We have 4 ways of concluding that 2 triangles are congruent with less than complete information. If all 3 sides are congruent, if 2 angles and the included side are congruent, if 2 sides and the included angle are congruent, and if a right angle hypotenuse and a side are congruent. Using what we have just learned, let us take a couple of minutes and perform our first activity of this lesson. What I would like you to do, students, is look at the 2 triangles on the screen. They look like they might be congruent. Are they? If so, how can you tell? Please go ahead and complete this activity.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you finish the activity? Were you able to figure out whether or not the two triangles are congruent? Good! And you are right. They are congruent. How can we tell? In the case of these two triangles, we know that they each have a right angle. The length of the hypotenuse is the same, and one of the two remaining sides is the same length. Now, let us turn our attention to the second part of this lesson, similarity. You will remember that at the beginning of this lesson, I said that similarity is when figures have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. As you can see, the figures on your screen are similar, with the second figure in each pair a larger version of the first. Let us pause here and perform our second activity of this lesson. What I would like you to do, students, is look at the two figures on the screen. Are they similar? Take a close look. There is plenty of detailed information that tells you the dimensions of the two figures. Please go ahead and complete this activity.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you finish the activity? Were you able to figure out whether or not the two figures are similar? Good! They are similar. How can we tell? You are right. All the angles are the same. And although the lengths of the sides are larger in the second shape, they are exactly twice as large as the sides of the first shape. 2 becomes 4. 7 becomes 14. 4 becomes 8. And 5 becomes 10. That means the two shapes are similar. The word we use to define the relationship between the different sizes is ratio. All the corresponding angles of the two shapes are exactly the same, and the corresponding lengths of the sides of the two shapes are the same ratio, 2 to 1. Keep that idea of ratio in mind. For two figures to be similar, the corresponding angles must be exactly the same. But the corresponding sides do not have to be the same length. However, the lengths of the corresponding sides must have the same ratio. In this case, they are exactly twice as long in the second square as they are in the first. Good work, everyone. We learned how to determine whether or not figures were congruent and similar. We are going to use that knowledge in future lessons. But that is all the time we have for now. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.